Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user fmacfmdd. My boyfriend and I are hurt because his sister showed her true colors. Over the past few days, my boyfriend and I have gone through a whirlwind of confusion and stress. Basically, his sister and her husband are 30 years old but act like irresponsible teenagers. They house hopped for half a year and took advantage of everyone they could. They lived off of everyone else's income until they were kicked out. They finally got into an apartment after my boyfriend's mother swooped in and gave them hundreds to pay their rent and deposit. She's been paying their rent for 3 months now. She also gave them $1,000. They have still not tried to get jobs yet, but they're getting an eviction notice. They have 2 days to vacate or pay $2,500. Now, my boyfriend and I love his sister. She's a great person, we thought. And we understand she's going through some terrible times right now. But my boyfriend and I also know that she isn't doing anything to change it. Neither is her husband. Anyway, my boyfriend was very close with his sister. I was also close with her and she has been rooting for us since I first met her. He's also close with her husband, but me not so much. We got along and I liked him since he was around pretty often, but we just found out her husband has been cheating and not trying to make money to support them and their 3 kids. So he's officially a deadbeat and my boyfriend and I don't give an F what happens to him at this point. So if she stays with him, that's their business, but he isn't welcome in our apartment. Honestly, neither is his sister because of everything that's happened. We're just worried for these 3 nephews who live with them. Now, remember how I said they owed $2,500 or they had to leave? A few days ago, she called my boyfriend and told him to come over as soon as possible. Honestly, they've been struggling for so long that it isn't uncommon for them to ask for money. $25 every now and then, sometimes every day. If they start asking for money every day, then we just stop answering and let them figure it out elsewhere. So we go to her apartment and I start playing with my boyfriend's nephews. They're 2 kids and an infant. My boyfriend's sister pulls him into another room to talk. She left for a few minutes and my boyfriend called me in and quickly told me what they were talking about since I wasn't welcome in the room while they were talking. It should have been a red flag from the beginning. Long story short, she asked my boyfriend for all $1,500 of our savings. At that point, we didn't even pay our deposit and rent yet. We got approved and we're handling all of that on Tuesday. In the meantime, we're staying at his brother's down the street. So if we gave it to her, we'd be out of a place to live and an approved apartment. There's no way this apartment would agree to us trying to push back the payments for a month and a half. She told my boyfriend she'll pay us back in 5 to 6 weeks. Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, right. She showed my boyfriend the eviction notices from the leasing office and it is true. She owes $2,500 and she has the $1,000 from his mom. I was eventually welcomed into the room and her husband joined us as well. I didn't say much because my answer was immediately no, and I will never change my mind on that. But they did a great job of guilt-tripping us. We really believed they were struggling and they loved us and really needed our help. My boyfriend told them we'd think about it and we left. She and her husband tried to guilt-trip him by saying that family helps family, etc. She kept bringing up the times when she took my boyfriend in when he was in the 6th grade. She feels super entitled. Also, neither of them has tried to get a job in the 6 months they've been house hopping. They're at the point where the income is leeching off of other people. My boyfriend talked to me and he's conflicted, but he also doesn't want to give away our savings or open our home to them. I told him my answer was absolutely not and that he could call me heartless if he wanted, which he did. I told him that we could give her $600 and she could figure out the other $900. He says it won't help because they only have 2 days before they're kicked out. So basically, he was feeling super stuck and I was clear on my answer. I love him and his family, but I draw the line at their irresponsible asses trying to move in or take our savings. He was mad at me for not trying to help him think of something to help them. Anyway, we went back to his brother's house and asked for his opinion. Suddenly, we realized how badly they just manipulated us. We were basically brainwashed into believing that they had no other options and that we were their only hope. How did we forget that they've been jobless for a year? How did we forget that they've been mooching off of the whole family for a year? Also, if we didn't hear his brother's opinion, my boyfriend probably wouldn't have been able to come to a conclusion. His brother let them live in his apartment for 3 months. He blew through $6,000 worth of savings because they were in there without the intention of leaving. Anyway, we texted her later that night and told her basically that we couldn't afford it and that we couldn't put our personal plans back to save her. We offered to help her find a new apartment with the $1,000 she has. She ignored us. It's been 24 hours. But before we said no, she wanted to talk to us so badly, right? She loved us and appreciated us so much, right? She didn't say one thing to us. We now realize that they only care about money and being lazy. They're entitled and selfish. Of course, we'll still talk to them, but we won't be offering any help at all. They got themselves in this situation. They can get themselves out of it. Anyways, this has been a super long rant. Thanks if you're reading all of this. Well, OP, I have to say I absolutely agree with you, and I think it's awesome that you had the strong enough spine to say, no, F you, we're not gonna help you. We're not gonna jeopardize our plans or our future because you've been an irresponsible a-hole. Now, my biggest question regarding them, those two idiots, is if they haven't been doing anything for a whole year and just living off of people, what have they been doing all day? They haven't been looking for jobs, so they must have been doing something. But that's just my curiosity talking. But the only concern I do have regarding all of this situation is about those 3 kids. They're not responsible for their parents being selfish idiots. But now their life's gonna suck because of them. And of course, I know that they're not your responsibility either, but maybe there's a way that you can help them out. Maybe the brother can take them in, maybe you and your boyfriend could hold on to the kids for a little bit until there's better footing for them to live with the mom or the brother or something like that. Maybe another family member that can take better care of them. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? How would you go about confronting it? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Luminati says, I think you and your boyfriend may want to consider the possibility that drugs are involved here. You said in your post that the husband's mom has been paying their rent for the last 3 months, yet they owe $2,500 in back rent. If mom is giving them cash for rent, it seems to me like they're spending that cash elsewhere. I highly recommend no one gives them cash. If they need money for food and someone wants to help, then buy them the food instead of giving cash. If they need money for gas, go with them to the gas station and fill the tank up yourself. The way they respond to this will show you pretty quickly what their true intentions with the money were. Marty Ski says, good for you to think about your future. My brother-in-law needed money real bad to save his business. They tapped all the family members and we were the last hope. I refinanced my car to help. Family, right? We had established a payment plan with interests, gave them the money and all the promises to pay back. After 2 payments, they no longer paid. I ended up paying the note off and they acted like I was an a-hole for demanding to be paid. Moral is don't lend family money unless you're willing to lose it. It caused a multi-year rift in the family. He eventually paid after he lost the business and got a divorce. Reunite Pangea says, you helping them is just not sustainable. Not only can you not afford to continue to put a roof over their heads, but you're eventually going to grow resentful of them for putting you in such a situation where you can't take care of your own needs because of their reasons? They are unfortunately going to burn through all their relationships at this rate. It's tough, but they need to figure out whether their relationship with their family outweighs the reasons they refuse to seek work. Moosey Girl says, the whole family has been enabling this behavior, which isn't actually doing them any favors. Well done for putting your foot down. And OP responds, I almost regret coming here with my boyfriend. I feel like they've been planning around our plans and trying to force themselves in. We're worried that next, they're going to try to move into our place when we get it. Oh, you bet they will. Mellowtones says, it's sweet that you tried to help them and empathize with them, but yeah, got to draw a line under that and make them take some responsibility. It's easy to fill your days when you're not working, even without 3 kids, and the months roll by. But they need a metaphorical kick in the arse to jolt them into some job hunting action. Well done. And Night for Day says, even if, for some ridiculous reason, you gave them the $1,500 that you need to move into your own place, what happens next month? Same thing. They'd still be out of an apartment, and then so would you. You'd be helping no one by giving away your money, because of course, they're not going to pay you back. Of course, the guilt sucks, but you have no option, and it's completely unfair of them to even ask you for it. This is infuriating. Sorry you have to deal with it. They're just irresponsible, selfish people who need to learn how to adult. Alright, well, the community was pretty clear from different angles. It's a good thing that OP didn't give them the money and actually are moving away from the situation. Now, OP just replied to that one comment that I already read, so we have no additional context, which means we move on straight to the update to see how this story ends. But of course, before that, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now let's move on with that update. A lot of you had some questions and concerns. It's been almost 2 days now and they have not talked to us or my boyfriend's mother or brother. They are mad that everyone has refused to help them anymore. Anyway, I'll answer the biggest questions here. Question: if they owe $2,500 in rent, where did the money from his mom go? Answer: I know, right? Where the F did it go? She was sending them cash through Western Union. They obviously wasted it on other things that I'll get to eventually. Question: will we take the kids in if they are taking from their parents? Answer: honestly, yes, but not permanently. We're both still teenagers ourselves and wouldn't want to give up our life so young to take care of his nephews. Besides, we wouldn't be the first choice anyway. My boyfriend's brother and his girlfriend are more fit to take them in and would say yes in a heartbeat. They just don't want to take in 2 adult children as well. Question: are the kids cared for despite the situation they've put in by their parents? Answer: overall, yes. Would think they notice that they're not the richest kids on the block. They have food stamps, and the oldest goes to school every day. They also have entertainment thanks to my boyfriend and I, and his brother and his girlfriend, and so on. If they end up evicted with nowhere to go, we would try to find a place for the kids with family. F the parents at this point. Question: how have they just not tried to get a job? Answer: we honestly have no idea. There is absolutely no reason why they wouldn't have a job right now. They are surrounded by stores, restaurants, factories, etc. The job opportunities are endless. My boyfriend and I haven't even moved there yet and we already got multiple job offers. We think there's something they really aren't telling us because it's been about 6 months and neither of them has even tried to get a job. Question: if we give them $1,500, what happens to us? And what happens when they need rent money for next month? Answer: right? My boyfriend and I thought about that after reading everyone's comments. Where do they expect to get another $700 or so in 2 weeks if they aren't trying to get a job? Also, they expect my boyfriend and I to live with them or stay at our current home until they can pay us back. Now, finally, the most asked question. Is it possible they're using drugs? Answer: yes. I don't know how I forgot to mention this in my other posts. They have been highly dependent on weed for almost 10 years. They beg for money, $25, to pay for their daily bag of weed. Their tolerance has been built up so high that they need to smoke at least 3.5 grams a day in order to function. It's terrible. My boyfriend had the same addiction. Thankfully, he recovered. And trust me, they will do anything to find money for weed. They have been prioritizing that over stable living environments. So overall, they're entitled lazy, effed up bums. How are they going to be mad because we don't want to give them our entire savings? We now fully realize that they don't care about anyone or anything except money. Someday soon, their kids will be taken away. They'll be living with us or my boyfriend's brother or with his mom. Everyone knows their situation and how they aren't helping themselves. No one will let those kids stay with them much longer. We can't take them in because we aren't getting our place yet, and they'll be getting evicted tomorrow or the next day. For now, my boyfriend and I are going to find some money to buy them all some actual clothes and shoes, and maybe some beds that aren't air mattresses, or at least a high-quality air mattress. Anyways, we're hoping they finally realize their position and get their crap together, but no one is going to continue to let them drag the kids down with them. They used to be the best off compared to all of their siblings, had the most recent car, made $4,000 a month, had a nice apartment, nice clothes, etc. We don't know what happened, but they just crashed. We know they want to be better, but they're just not doing crap about it, and nobody can continue to enable that. We don't know where they'll go since we won't have our place yet. They're not welcome anyway, and since all of their siblings refuse to let them back in. They'll probably beg for her boyfriend or husband's family to let them stay somewhere. Thank you all very much for all the advice. It was hard for us to realize that we couldn't do anything more to help them. It was just very hurtful that they had the audacity to ask for our entire savings to help them. They know that if we gave them our savings, then we would be out of a stable home ourselves. We finally put ourselves before them and realized we needed to draw a line. And there you have it, potheads who just didn't want to change their habit. Now, I know there's a debate somewhere regarding weed being addictive or not. I think it can be addictive, but it's also not so difficult to break from it. If you have the will to not smoke for like, I don't know, a week or two, then you should get to a place where you can control the craving. And from what I understand, it's just that, it's craving. You don't get physical pain or, that kind of stuff like you would get from other really, really hard drugs. In any case, that's not the point of the post. The point is that the kids should be okay with family, and the parents, well, they just need to deal for themselves. So thank you so much for sharing, OP. Once again, congratulations on that fabulous spine, and hopefully your new apartment is awesome. Take care and thank you for sharing. Now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user SpartanXBA. Management was not ready for my compliance. About 20 years ago, I worked in a call center at a budding payment processing company. The main performance metric was the time service factor, TSF, which required answering 80% of calls within 20 seconds. Due to a constant queue of calls, achieving this goal was impossible. Customers were unhappy, management was unhappy. The stage was set. Enter tech support. I was hired fresh out of high school to be the call center's sole tech support and handle customer-facing application migrations. In retrospect, they basically brought me on as a project manager and systems consultant, but I didn't know any better. Unfortunately, our telephony system did not direct callers based on specializations or skill set, so when customers called in specifically for tech support, there was a 1 in 15 chance of getting the lone tech support agent. Instead of investing in more tech support staff and overhauling the phone VRU menu, management decided the best system was to have representatives physically line up at my desk. It was frustrating and extremely overwhelming to balance my migration projects and the queue of callers that were waiting for me, so I adapted by remaining in not ready as much as possible. Not ready means your line will only ring for direct calls, but only my team had my direct line. Things were going smoother in terms of handling tech calls. People were lining up less, but management was not happy that the TSF goal was not being met. Then, one day, my lead pulled me aside and confronted me with my telephony stats. My not ready times were 10 times everyone else's, to which I reminded them that I'm the only technician, and if 14 other people were lined up at my cubicle, then they were clogging the lines with people on hold waiting for me. Management did not care. I had a special skill, but I was not special enough to be exempt from the metric. No more not ready. Cue malicious compliance. I pretended my not ready button no longer existed and went about being a rank and file call center rep. The moment I was done with one call, I had to pick up the next. This meant during migration waves and outages, there were moments when my entire team was lined up at my desk, waiting to transfer their callers to me. After about 10 to 15 minutes of just seething by my cubicle's window, some began to confront me. I explained that I was forbidden from using not ready to keep my line open. The call queue would have to die down completely until my line was open to accept a transfer call. You could cut the tension with a knife. TSF continued to tank, and then call abandoned rates skyrocketed. Customers were unhappy, management was unhappy. So management did the obvious thing and hired more technicians, right? Right? Nope. First, the new protocol was to post a sticky note with the customer's callback number and ticket number on my desk. Tell the customer to expect my callback, hang up, and then take the next call. From then on, I was expressly only allowed to conduct the callbacks when there were fewer than 10 callers on hold. Second, they took 2 of the regular call center boomers and set them with me to job shadow. Third, they tasked my lead with standing over my shoulder to observe my daily activities. What I showed the team lead was that for every 2 to 3 tickets I closed out, 10 more callback tickets would roll in. What he actually ended up doing was reprimanding me for having a high RONA, rollover not answered, count because I'd let some calls roll over if they snuck in while I was doing morning callbacks. Abject dismay. The nightmare finally ended with the mortgage crisis. Management's brilliant business acumen had led the company to insolvency. I jumped ship to complete my college education, and then the company shut down about a year later. And once again, another example of corporate running themselves out of business. They didn't want you to use the not ready, so you just didn't use it, and it's on them. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.